Hello, good morning. Today I am joined by my guest, Laith Bani Slamh he's the founder and CEO of Bridge AI, and James Dolan, Head of Customer Solutions at Education at Alto. Good morning, chaps. How are you doing?
Morning, Dave. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well.
Very, very good. Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Good to have you both with us. I think as far as the ABCs of a state agency is concerned, so the very basics that we want for our business, we want a market leading CRM, and we want to make sure that we are staying ahead of the curve as regards AI. So can we have a market leading AI solution as well? And I'm very happy to have you both here today because there's some news afoot here that you're gonna tell us about where those agents who are using a market leading CRM such as Alto now get to take advantage of the fantastic products that Bridge AI are developing and making available to estate agents. So perhaps, James, if I sort of come to you first, if you like, if you could just tell us why this sort of move to work with Bridge AI is, from your point of view, makes a lot of sense.
Of course. We've had an integration with Bridge AI over the last 12 months or so, and we've seen a amazing uptake from our users on utilizing that and enhancing their applicant registration. And applicant registration is normally seen as a bit of an admin task. Around about 30% of great, or I should say, most agencies use less than 30% of the applicant data that's already collected, which means that, it's really stumbling their growth. It's basically giving them ineffective and invisible applicant management. So we wanted to enhance our integration with Bridge AI. And what that meant was opening up the ability for all of our users to have that access. So we've brought out a freemium version. This effectively is allowing any Alto user to now go and integrate with Bridge AI and get up to 30 leads a month, and enhance that registration for absolute no cost whatsoever.
It sounds like an absolute sort of a partnership that a lot of your agents would value. Laith, maybe I'll come to you because the bit that kind of always pulls my attention when I'm reading the notes that we put together before this and the press releases around it, is the 24/7 bit of it. And the reason I'm gonna make that distinction is James quite rightly has already stated that applicant registration seems a little bit pedestrian at first, and if it's between 9 and 5 and there's nothing else happening, the phones aren't ringing, you've got all the time in the world to register somebody, you're going to have a brilliant experience getting to know that person. But as we know, it's not about what we as agents want to happen during 9 to 5. Very often, customer behavior is that they like to transact and they like to contact when they've got time. So, i.e., they've worked all day, they're at home in the evening, the agency's closed, but they still want to make an inquiry on a property. Now, a typical agent experience is we'll wake up the next morning, we'll see that inquiries come through overnight, we'll try and contact the people, they will already be back in work, and I ain't gonna hear from them again. And if I call them even later, sometimes they don't even remember they've made the request. Whereas the data and the science doesn't lie on this, it says that if we can get back to them in their time scale, at their time when they're inquiring, we stand a much better chance of making those punches connect. Surely that's the genius to what you guys do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, David and James. What you mentioned, Spawn, is about this partnership. Um, Ideally, there are a few key points to talk about within the state agency. Firstly, the front line and the negotiators and the data that we're gathering from leads and the accuracy of the data, how good it is. The thing is, I was staging myself, so I can talk about that. Like the notes I was putting, like no one would even understand except me what I meant by that note. Meaning you've got your Alto, your CRM dashboard with like filled with thousands of leads, but no one knows what they're actually looking for, what the conversation was about, except that negotiator, which I could have left 12 months ago. That's one of the key points that we're avoiding within Bridge AI and Alto, because now Bridge AI and Alto can not only update the contact, but also put all the right notes in a very professional way where if anyone picks it up later, they'll understand exactly what happened. That's one thing. Another thing regarding the 24/7, what you mentioned, David, regarding, yes, being available 24. We've noticed that the best leads and actually convert to whether tenants or buyers are available outside working hours for a very, very logical reason. Primarily is that if you're making if you've got a busy job, you're making really, really good money and all of that, probably you don't have the time. Like if someone calling me now, right? I'm not gonna answer. I need to make money so I can afford doing other things, right? So that also goes when it comes to properties, and the applicants who bother the negotiators a lot, and they have so much time in their hands, they might not be the best applicant that your landlord or your vendor been looking for. That's another aspect. Lastly, but not least, is that I'm looking at Alto now, looking at Alto and all the great things within it, the properties and the details and all of that. As a negotiator, you cannot memorize every single field, every single time, 24/7. It is almost impossible. Which leads me another again to I always think in a graphic, like in a graph kind of way, right? Which leads me to two conclusions. One, if I'm using another software which is not integrating with your CRM Alto, the data that gathering is so poor because it's not relying on the data that you've got on the CRM.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't match, does it? In terms of it
thank
doesn't
you.
mirror.
Thank you. So like if I've got someone comes through on my website or my WhatsApp or SMS, or whatever that is, and then start asking about that property, is like, I don't know because I don't have enough data. But in Bridge AI case, no, we actually know. We know everything. We probably know more details about the property at that moment than any other person.
Yeah.
Because we look at it, we can look at Alto real time and answer based on it. And the other bit is that the accuracy of the data we would send back to Alto real time to make sure next morning when the booking happens, I'll show you in a bit, that when the booking happens, we ensure everything has been registered and passed over to the right negotiator, plus suggesting other properties. Meaning, if someone inquired about property, and like I can say that very confidently, many applicants don't even know what they're looking for. They just like, I'm looking for a property. They think I'm qualified for that one. But there are so many criteria and many things that they need to fit to make sure that this is not wasting their time going viewing. And we've seen these memes where we have many applicants lining up outside these properties. I don't need 20 people outside. I just need good 2-3 offers.
I just need one, is the truth.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because you're not going to move more than one. But the ideal case is that you want to offer 2 to 3 offers to your landlord or vendor to say, all right, choose one of them.
Yeah.
Meaning the rest 17 are just complete waste of time, not only for them, not only for you as a state agency, but also for the applicants. And I've seen many bad Google reviews to the applicants on state agency websites and Google reviews where, I showed up and you never come back to me, and like I've got my offer. I was like, who got the time for arguing about that? So if we do, which Bridge AI and Alto doing that greatly now, the initial not only qualification, suggesting other properties and so on, if you're not really good or qualified for this property, Bridge AI instantly looks at Alto, sees what other properties we've got and based on qualification, and suggests another property that suits your requirements more and book you in for it. So
it's effectively the super negotiator, super member of staff that always looks at every field but never forgets, and is always on, which is some people's absolute dream when it comes to sort of streamlining these things. Now, I think you were going to show it in action, which obviously we'll talk about. But whilst we're setting that up, James, maybe I'll talk to you a little bit about methods of communication, because at its core, a CRM is our like most trusted piece of software, because it's like the Bible, isn't it? It's where all the truth is recorded, and everything else outside of that is a bit of conjecture, but it all flows from what's in our CRM. And for many agents, communication, outward bound communication can begin from a CRM. So we might send an email alert. We may, in the good old days, we would talk about SMSs and so on. We've moved on where not only do we have to offer a wide range of different solutions, but we talk about omni-channel communication, including things like WhatsApp, Messenger, all of these sort of things where, it was a dream. You might think it's a luxury, but in today's market, and particularly knowing buyer psychology and seller psychology these days, we're living in an always on instant world where you can order whatever you want from Amazon at any time of night and it'll probably still be with you the next day, if not the same day. We want instant service, but we want to be able to communicate with our agents in a method that we prefer best. So I'm presuming this is all music to your ears in terms of opening that up to your agents.
It is. And, if we reflect back 18 months, 2 years ago, again, from an Alto CRM perspective, we were still pushing the SMS and the email communication channels and letters. And times have evolved, and they've evolved obviously much before 18 months and 2 years ago. But what Bridge AI opens up alongside some of our other integrations is that omni-channel communication. Yes, you still have letters, you still have your email communications, and you can build out templates and different marketing messages. But ultimately, what we now have is WhatsApp and social media, all which can be then pushed to the right demographic at any time during, whether it's the day, evening, or weekend, giving your potential vendors, landlords, and applicant that self-service opportunity, just like you mentioned, that we expect from Deliveroo or Amazon,
Yeah.
whoever it might well be. Like, we don't want to conform anymore. I know this myself, to just the standard 9 till 5 and Monday to Friday. I'll be able to order what I want, when I want, in the most convenient and quickest way. And I think what Bridge AI does, and Leif picked up on this earlier about, you know, applicant registration was quite dated. And if you've got 17 applicants, you're not going to register them in the most effective way.
Yeah.
This actually standardizes your process and speeds up that registration, gives you the most valuable potential vendors, landlords, and applicants that you can focus on them. But more importantly, it's about all the other departments it helps as well, right? Your applicant registration is actually undervalued, because what it will help you is it will help you understand who your demographic is, who the right target audience is, to be able to target where you should be taking on more properties through, again, that standardized registration process. And then you can start to look at spend, like, where should I be focusing? Is it portal strategy? Is it stock strategy, pricing, audience targeting? Grow your business from the key foundations that start with that applicant registration.
And there's other opportunities as well that the AI is never afraid to ask about, but we as humans sometimes pull our punches, and it's just natural. If I've spent 10
Sure.
minutes getting to know you, James, about the house that you want to buy, and we've gone into detail, we've built a rapport, for me to then, after 10 minutes, turn around to you and go, do you know what, James? Have you got a mortgage off? Have you
Yeah.
spoken to anybody about mortgage? Do you actually know how much you can spend? It's an awkward bit of the conversation, and very often it's something that gets left out by us humans just purely because it doesn't have a place in the conversation. What I
Oh,
love, having talked to Laith in the past about what they do is it always picks up on those missed opportunities, and I think that adds a lot of value to an agency, but also to the bottom line.
oh, yeah, 100%. And I remember myself back in agency, I think when I first joined at 18 years old, thinking I'd be booking viewings and valuations, and then being pushed to how many mortgage appointments have you booked? How many bums on seats have you got? And yeah, that being the most intimidating part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And
Be-
100% agree.
Because it's not what they're calling about. Nobody ever calls
Yep.
you and goes, "Hello, Mr. Estate Agent. I'd like you to point me in the direction of a mortgage broker." They always say, "Look, I'm looking for a house," or "I want you to come and value our house." And you are programmed to serve, so you will give them what they want, but then to ask them what you kind of want to ask them is almost on top of that. It becomes a bonus that sometimes you can't put in, but.
Well, that takes me to another point, David, which is what you mentioned is actually absolutely accurate. The 10 minutes and 15 minutes and until they actually get to the point where it's really crucial. The thing is, as estate agents, we getting paid based on outcome and results. Meaning, if you don't sell the property, you don't get money. If you don't rent the property, you don't get money. But at the same time, you've got fixed costs. So that minute, that 10 minutes that you think, oh, I still want my negotiator to do it. I was like, yes, mate, I understand it, but these 10 minutes, they they're about maybe £2-3 for you, plus divided by many of them applicants, without even getting to the crucial point of do they have mortgage? How they're buying, who's are they selling, why they're selling, what, and so on and so forth. Um, Rather than getting to the bottom of it, to the actual outcome, you want to go through the whole journey, which takes you time. The negotiator is getting paid regardless, which I understand that's their job. They
Yeah.
need to get paid. But the owner of the business, the director, feeling like, okay, all of that time being spent, and the same time is not being observed enough. Like this is not the best quality and we can get out of the time we are spending on the phones. We could do way more than just asking simple questions. And Bridge AI and the AI can do way more than that now. But I mean, that's even the ABCs about it.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And actually, a good way to phrase that is probably, you're taking the human expertise, the AI intelligence, the CRM data, and you're scaling that into growth. So again, to summarize there, Leif, you're right. You're not chasing those missed opportunities and manually qualifying those applicants and updating your CRM. Bridge AI is doing that for you, which means you can build the relationships where there's value, win more instructions, negotiate the deals with better quality data, and effectively, like we've started this section, drive revenue. And whether that comes from, the sale, the landlord, the vendor, or the upsell of mortgage, solicitors, and additional referrals.
So
Absolutely.
no discussion on AI, and it actually, James, it touches on just what you were talking about there, the human element of it, but no discussion about AI could be had without this little uneasy feeling of, oh, what's going to happen to the humans and what role do they play? But more importantly, here's the next question. I think we've all now accepted that AI can help the humans actually perform at their best. It can take care of things that we are. We need a buddy on. We need a little bit of assistance on. We need prompting on. And it's also going to be working whilst we're sleeping, which is absolutely fantastic. But we would still like it to communicate with our customers in the way that a human would. It needs to have tone. It needs to have a bit of perspective. It cannot just be a robot where it is pushing for what it wants without knowing what the customer wants. And I'm glad to say, I think, Laith, you've put a lot of time into making Bridge AI customizable to mirror an agency's, because every agency speaks differently. They do. There are some that wear suits to work and they're very, very formal. And there are some that will wear hoodies to work and they're a little bit more relaxed, and the tone of conversation, therefore, is more relaxed. The last thing in the world that you want is a tool that is helping but is not communicating in the style of your particular brand. So just focus on that for a second, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the main things that when we start Bridge AI, I thought mistakenly is like, oh, there's a one way of doing things, because I come from like worked in one of the offices in North London. I was like, okay, this is how we do things. This is probably the best way of doing it. But then when we start the journey of Bridge AI and we start talking to hundreds of state agents, and we learned, hold on a second, like, no, they do it differently because there's a reason behind it. It's not like by mistake. There was a reason, like the way how they talk to their customers. They might be like north and is slightly different. Maybe in London it's like also slightly busier. Whatever there is, it needs to be fully customized, and that's one thing. Two, the whole system is proprietary to us. That's our system. We're not a wrapper. That's something that's very clear. I like to put out there. We're not a wrapper to any other third-party providers. And it's very, very critical for the state agents also like to educate them more about the AI. And I was talking to a multi-branch who just signed up yesterday with the using another CRM. But we were talking about like, and I was educating him about like, listen, The other companies, or what you need to ask is this: where is the data being held? Is it in the UK or in the Europe? The GDPR compliance, because you're also going to be
Yeah.
held accountable to that. At the same time, is that your data? Is that your software, or you're just a wrapper to someone else's that you're just taking and adding the prices? That's why they keep adding, pushing the prices. So which means that there is no control over the system itself. And if anything goes wrong, we don't know who to contact. We need to know who we're spoken to. So that's one thing. Plus, the new BridgeEye 2.0 is it's completely customizable, configurable based on the tonality and what exactly you're looking for, the outcome of it. So whether that's a booking, whether that's a referral, whatever that is, we make sure that the system behaves based on it. Even if they, and I would like to show you also shortly one of the conversations. The system was asking me about if I have other sources of income, and I said yes, I've got because I'm Arab, I've got oil underneath my house, but please don't tell the US, don't tell Trump, otherwise he'll come and take it. So it was kind of funny because they were trying to pull me back from the conversation, like, and actually just finish the answer, the question. So uh, yes, it's customizable based on what the agency wants, and what the outcome. So part of it's not kind of a software where you sign up and you just like take the system and do nothing. No, we need to jump in a meeting. One of the specialists will sit down with you on a Zoom call and will say, okay, what is your outcome? What's your objective? What do you want out of it? Because it can do so much. It can do database nurturing. It can do marketing campaigns on WhatsApp and so on. It can do this and this and that. But what do you want? And by asking the right questions, we understand and we start peeling and we say, okay, actually, from what I hear, your main struggle is your data is not accurate. And I was speaking to one of the large franchisees or franchisors in the UK and having discussions about what are the main difficulties that they have. Is that, and honestly, they said, when we look at the data, it's often is missing details, either phone numbers, sometimes a zero been added, we don't know now. Maybe an email is not complete. Maybe the data there, they want to evaluation that they don't know exactly what happened there. It's not very clear. And these are the things that we ensure we tackle first, and then we keep building on that.
Fantastic. Did you want to show us a little bit of this in action? Because we do a lot of talking about tech. We don't sometimes we don't get to see it up front. Have you got anything that you can show us today?
Absolutely. Not only that, but I'll show you two, three things. One is what one of our customers said about us, and they're also an Alto user. And I'm focusing primarily today about the integration and the partnership between BridgeEye and Alto, and what's the outcome for the end user, for our combined customers. So, firstly, that's one of our mutual customers. They're using Alto and using BridgeEye, and they said, "Hey, using Alto CRM," and unfortunately, they lost one of their member of staff, and we came at the right time, and it turned out to be a good thing because BridgeEye took all the handling. They didn't need to hire someone else, and BridgeEye became their newly high valued member of staff.
So do you mind if I just read that out for
Yeah, please.
people that are perhaps listening to this as well? So I'm going to read out the text of it because it's exactly as Laith says. Honestly, we cannot praise this new piece of software enough. After losing a member of staff, we were very concerned over being able to handle huge telephonic workload with this void in personnel. Fortunately, the software integrates with Alto, our CRM, and quite frankly, has made the loss of a member of staff an economic benefit. The system works 24 hours and is responding and filtering inquiries constantly. All vetted inquiries are then automatically booked into our system diary and onto our CRM database. Nobody needs to lift an extra finger on that. Bridge AI has become my new highly valued member of staff. The staff at Bridge AI are all very knowledgeable and have been very helpful in the whole setting up process. This was unbelievably simple and equally unbelievable value. We look forward to what the future brings with this software and the upcoming future integrations. And that's from Liam there. I mean that is you know, I suppose you couldn't have written that better yourself, but this is a genuine customer review here, that's
Absolutely.
available for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and this is one of many other customers who said kind of similar thing, from hunters to from individual offices to hunters to multi branches. Many of them actually, I'm showing many of them using Alto and Bridge AI as well. So moving to Bridge AI platform again, we kept the identity of a simple user interface to make it. At the end of the day, we're not here to complicate your life. We're here to make it simpler, right? So the conversation itself, you don't need to read through the whole conversation. You just can rely on what has been added to Alto, which I'll show you shortly. Firstly, this is a WhatsApp. It could be an SMS, it could be an email, it could be a website chatbot conversation, and then we go back and forth with this. Is again, it all relies on this is a template, this is a draft. It could be less, it could be more, it could be more sophisticated. Depends on what you want and what you want to get out of it. So I tried to just nudge from answering the question, and I was like, okay, tell me more about the property, and was answering, and what do you do, and how long you've been working for, and we actually go in depth, meaning. So, and I'll give you one of the many examples that we're able to do. So, your annual income. This needs to pass referencing 2.5 times the annual rent. We're not, again, David and James already knows that, but we're not a data gathering piece of software. We don't collect data and we paste it into your software. We actually act as a guardrail, meaning I act as your even negotiator to ensure anything goes through us is really, really good and exactly fits what you're looking for. So if you're looking for this, if you're looking for that, again, but according to making sure that we follow and you follow the renters reform bill and everything is the new system actually that we're implementing now. We applying all the adjustments that needs to happen in May, but we're applying it now, so everyone gets actually sort of like more used to it. So everything here is fully AI back and forth. So he was asking me, that's the kind of funny thing. He was asking me, what's your source of income? Like, yeah, I've got some oil underneath, but it seems it's not really clear. Can you actually just let me get you back to the conversation? So, and here, do you have pets? I'm allergic to them. So it also understood kind of like this conversation and booked straight into Alto. You have a full overview of like the full history with the applicant. So you know the applicant inquired about this property on this date, on this date, on this date, and so on and so forth. So it's and if you click on any of them, it'll scroll up, it'll take you straight to the conversation where that happened, and then you can carry on from there. But you don't really need to go through it because you can just get a summary. The same summary, if you're an Alto user, you would get it straight into Alto. Everything would be recorded in Alto. Meaning, if I go before I go to Alto, at the same time on Bridge AI, you can take over the conversation and message the applicant on WhatsApp real time. So if that is it, I still need to be involved. Yes, you're actually involved at any given moment of the conversation. If the applicant requested, you know what, can you put me through to someone? Boom, you get notified, and you can take over. So that's like a very high view of Bridge AI, but at the same time, again, the same thing goes with the sales side of it and the outcomes and how we try to generate business. And I said here, my situation is, I bought a house before with my ex-wife, soon to come ex-wife. I'm looking for a new one. Yes, I need a swimming pool to make her jealous.
Looking for a new wife or a new house?
Well, both. So and it generated. Yeah, and it generated a valuation request to one of the negotiators to say, please contact this person. They've got a property. They're looking to sell it now. Take an action.
Yeah.
Because again, we here understand mainly is that there needs to be a human element, especially at some point, because that's probably the biggest purchase they're going to make. So we need to have them, but we make everything faster. If I look into Alto, primarily we update anywhere between diary, contacts, properties. But if you look at here, I booked a viewing. It could be placed as confirmed or unconfirmed, depending on how the agency would like it to look like. And if I click here as unconfirmed, diary notes, bingo, all the notes that happened.
So it's quite intelligent and knows where in the diary you've got a gap and what's going to be it's not just going to be booking things randomly.
No,
This is exactly as you'd want it in your office.
thank you. This is a great question. So our booking works most of the times, or basically 100% of the time. The reason being, we have many methodology of like deciding what is the time, who's the right negotiator, does it work for the tenant or the occupant or not? But who's going to the property? If David is going to the property, why am I sending James? I don't want to send two people at the same time. We have so many rules that we decide beforehand. Okay, James is the right person to send them at the right time. And because we connect to Google Maps real time, we understand the traffic side of it. We understand how long it takes to move between properties. We understand that if you go into North, it's going to be insane if I send you to the next appointment to South and I leave 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So it understands all of that without your input. You don't need to take an action from there. Again, that applies both to sales, lettings, and valuations. The same thing here looks at like the lettings. You've got all the details that you need. But again, these details are configurable. So what you want, we'll just make it happen. When it comes to inquiries and bridge and contacts, you look at Bridgei here. You can see that all the notes have already been taken. You don't need to take like like a high standard. If you click on go to conversation, it'll take you straight to Bridgei, and it will actually show you the conversation where
that's amazing.
that happened. Yeah, thank you. Again, we update the properties where if there's any timeline of how the applicants inquired about it, the conversations of that, and so on and so forth. So that's I would say Bridgei and Alto integration in a nutshell. Again, there's way more than that because we yes, there's a conversational platform back and forth, but the tools connected. So if you want to nurture your database, if I'm saying that now, if you're a state agency, we've got tens of thousands of leads on your database. We're not going to charge you anything just to speak to us. Speak, and we'll let you know what our thoughts, what you can do with it, and then hopefully you can make so much money off the back of a database that could be dead. Because sending emails, Devin, James, as you know, sending emails often either go to spam folders or even open is so generic that there's no call to action. It's not really clear what you want me to do from that email.
And I think that's worth its weight in gold because any estate agent watching this, and I mean any estate agent, I don't care how good you are, if you're telling me you don't have people on your database that have been kind of put there a long time ago and you're not quite sure how they arrived there, we all do. And it's a legacy issue as well, actually, James, isn't it? When we do data migration and we very often want to know which bits, if you come to an agent and say, right, what are you most anxious about losing? There'll be certain things related to the properties that we absolutely want to keep, but it's usually the people and the contacts that we're somehow afraid of losing, which is great because you guys can help them move it over, but it's what you do with that data once you've got it. And a lot of us, what we do is we tend to hoard the data. We say we're going to do something with it, and then we either don't have the time or the resource to do it in-house. AI is going to change a lot of that, isn't it?
I want to mention a real example. Sorry, James, if I'm speaking here, but I want to mention a real example from yesterday, without mentioning names. One of the state agents who migrating from XCRM to Alto, and because they've heard about the Alto Bridgei new partnership and the youth offering, and by the way, we're not offering this freemium or this system to any other. It's primarily and focusing on Alto when it comes to a freemium model. So he heard about Bridgei. We jumped in a meeting. That was yesterday with one of our team, and we was talking about the database. It was perfect timing Because as they're migrating, rather than only sending the data with like, oh, it's just a database, he's gonna run it through Bridge AI. Bridge AI will add it to Alto, and then with the new details, with the new contacts, and ranking them based on the if they're ready, if they're not, if they respond, if they're not, whatever their situation is, we'll just do that. So meaning the migration Bridge AI and Alto is taking the migration to a complete new level. The level is that you're not only moving your data, you're moving your data that you not only need, but you're also ranking it based on readiness, based on and ensuring that the data been added is very, very accurate and to the highest standard.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. And I think picking up on 2 points, referring back to your demo there, Laith, we have a really rich and deep integration with Bridge AI, and that's why we're able to look at things like diary, pull all the properties, all the information about the property, which then allows Bridge to provide that information, whether it's to their applicant, their potential viewer, their landlord, and their vendor. But yeah, migration. I mean, I'm involved in many conversations with agents that are looking to change CRM and migrate, and the migration conversation does bring the fear of life into a lot of those agents.
Yeah.
We've done over 3,000 migrations over the last couple of years, so it's an area that we are extremely proud of and the level of data that we can migrate. But it does go back to what you said, that how much can you bring over? Can you bring over all my archived applicants? Can you bring over every single contact that I've got? And some of the quality of those contacts are extremely poor. You say, yeah, of course we can. You just think to yourself, what is the benefit? Like, you've got a name, there's no telephone, there's no email, there's no address. What are you actually going to do with that person? And I think that's relates back to everything that's been spoken about today, right? It's what Bridge AI does is it standardizes the process. It asks the questions that we're afraid to ask. It captures the data effectively, efficiently, and at any time or day. AI is no longer a luxury. It's available for all agencies, and we're bringing that through that premium version without
It's absolutely superb, and it's great to talk to you both because in your own fields you're doing some fantastic work, but as a partnership, and in terms of look, I get to see more prop tech than most people, and sometimes when we talk about integrations, they're only on paper. In actual fact, you'll find out it's two systems that kind of sit somewhere adjacent to each other, and if sometimes with a bit of bullying you can get them to perhaps send half the info, a bit of the info, some of the, and you've got 6 different things to log into at the same time. Whereas this is as James said, this is a rich integration. You can see from the demo that Laith just gave us, you can switch between the two systems at a click of a button. You want to see the conversation on Bridge AI, bang, it's there. You want to know it's in those notes are accurate and in your CRM. It's there as well. So when I get into the office in the morning and I need to sort of look at the damage from what's happened overnight, we used to come in, honestly, the way that it used to work, and this is a very common agent experience, we'd come into the office, we'd have a stack of inquiries that we need to go through, and we would literally sort of either print them out or designate them to different members of staff. This is so much cleaner, and it's so much, it's already there. It's in the CRM. I don't need to print something out. So I'm going to be saving the planet a little bit along the way as well. But also less grey hairs and less sleepless nights. And I think all of this, the dot, 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 is where we end up at the end of the day is this is improving the standard of a state agency. This is improving the standard of customer service that agents using Alto and agents using Bridge AI can offer to their customers. And that is a huge win for the industry as a whole because it brings up our reputation and it puts our profession in the best possible light.
Yeah.
So all
And
things
I
that I'm
can,
very keen on.
yeah, and I can tell you, David, one thing from what we've seen with the Alto users, we have many Alto users who not even, well, rarely look into Bridge AI. Just so you know, let me just put this to perspective. Barely look into Bridge AI. The data that you have on Alto, been registered and been added, been changed, the bookings and all of that, is enough for you to run your business. You might look into Bridge AI for certain things, but it doesn't have to be on a daily basis. It could be maybe once or a couple of times a week. Just double check a few points here and there. Everything else already been added there. Or you can have it for more observing, like more details in depth, depending on how busy you are. But either ways, as you said, the switching on the integration is very, very strong between both.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, gents, for taking the time out to speak to me today. And for all those Alto customers who, out there who are keen to take advantage of this, I'm sure you can contact your usual representatives from Alto, and likewise for Bridge AI. But if you're not an Alto customer, you're not a Bridge AI customer, where are you hiding? Come and speak to them. But thank you very much for today, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, David.